Hello everyone, my name is Catalyst, welcome back to the channel. I hope you all are doing well. And welcome to the very first episode of Battlefield Bootcamp. Today we're going to be going through some Battlefield 6 tips that should help you improve your game instantly. If this is the first time you are finding this channel, welcome. I've been teaching players like yourself how to improve at Battlefield games for close to 8 years now. Today we're going to go over some broad tips and tricks that should get you on the path to improving your game. This is your warning now, however. These are not going to be simple tips that insult your intelligence. You won't find things like, you can switch fire modes, or did you know that there's a compass, or even the classic, make sure you PTFO. Now these tips will get you started on the path to truly understanding how to play Battlefield at a high level if that is what you choose to do, and those tips start right now. Despite having a lot of high RPM weapons, Battlefield 6 is a game where the bullet velocity is actually a bit slower than you'd expect it to be. If you are playing the game and you feel like your bullets are lagging behind the enemy that you're tracking, that's because they probably are. Try taking a small lead on your shots from about 20 meters outwards and see if you start getting more kills. This is something that I couldn't understand when I first started playing the beta in August, especially because Battlefield 2042 is a game that had higher bullet velocity and was pretty hit scanny, even though it's not actually a hit scan. But after I played Battlefield 6 for a little bit more, I was able to understand this and get more efficient in killing my enemies quickly. This is a game that you should isolate and prioritize 1v1s as best as you can. This is true for all Battlefield games, but it is especially true in Battlefield 6. With the spread and bloom being at their current values, taking on more than one player at once will result in death 95% of the time. There's no clinical study done to back that, just 95% of the time feels like the right number. Whatever you could do to take individual gunfights, you need to do it in Battlefield 6. This isn't like previous Battlefields where you can get away with taking on 2 or 3 people at one time. We all want the big Battlefield flank, and those are still possible in Battlefield 6, but the maps are designed in a way that there are still a lot of angles, especially in some of those close quarters maps. So if you see an opportunity, go for it. But when you're roaming the map, focus on taking individual gunfights. If my video is not the first tips and tricks video that you've watched on YouTube since the game came out a couple of days ago, I am sure that you will have heard people talk about slowing down, and it's a great tip. If you feel like you are dying too frequently and you are getting caught off guard a lot, you should slow down. But allow me to add on more to this, because I think that people take this point a little bit too strongly sometimes. The trick to becoming a good Battlefield player and understanding map flow and your pacing is understanding when to be slow and when to take space on the map when it's available to you. Being slow for the sake of being slow will, sure, get you a couple more kills, but it will not get you very far, and it will not allow you to truly reach your potential. But knowing when your best play is to stay put and let the map flow come to you, or to go out and take space, is crucial to understanding if you want to start truly being an effective Battlefield player. Battlefield is a game where team play is crucial to success, but my definition of team play and your definition of team play may differ slightly. Sure, team play is throwing ammo and health when your team needs it, and repping a tank with a torch when it's low on health, or using the assault ladder that your team can get up to a pesky room of campers. But team play is also understanding how to use your teammates around you for information, and this is something that is built with game reps and experience. If you see revive symbols around you as a support, there are enemies around. And one of the oldest Battlefield rules is that if there's one, there's two. And if there are two, there are probably 3. The minimap is one of the most useful tools at your disposal, but sometimes it's easy to forget that you aren't the only one that has one, so it really becomes about understanding the situation of the game and where you sit in it. If you find yourself alone, you'll want to play a little bit cautiously, take up an angle, pre-aim a common traffic angle, and just take a second to analyze what is happening around you. Glance at the minimap, check which flags you occupy and which flags you don't, and if you happen to take a gunfight and win it, it's probably a good idea to get lost. It's not dissimilar to the idea that when you're a sniper, you take a shot and you should relocate. It doesn't mean leave the area, it just means, well, get lost. If you're an experienced FPS player, you will have probably heard the term flow state, but if you haven't, flow state is a term that defines a state that you get into where your inputs and your decision making almost become unconscious. You make all the right choices and everything feels right. Well, this opening clip, I was in flow state, and I was playing mostly by myself, but map knowledge and understanding how to play alone was what allowed me to go on this huge streak. Go back and watch the clip if you want to see what I mean. Alternatively, if you are with your teammates, this next clip should give you a baseline idea of how to play around them. My team has pretty good map control, and I know really that there is nothing the enemies can do on the map if they keep getting killed by me coming out of their lone cap. So in this situation, my job is to not capture the flag. My job is to prevent the enemies from getting out of this and earning more kills for my team. Notice how I play around my teammates and alternate watching angles, and I know that I don't need to overextend here because my teammates are there. This is just one way to correctly play with your teammates. This is something that is heavily nuanced and is something that I have talked about religiously on my channel over the years and will do so and will cover in future episodes of this series. If you are playing Battlefield 6 for the first time or haven't played any of the recent titles, the spotting will be a little bit weird or different at first. Of course, there is the regular spotting, which if you have your crosshair over an enemy and press the spotting button, on PC that's Q, it will 3D spot the enemy on the map for your team. But if you see an enemy in your line of sight but can't quite get that 3D spot off, the game will place down a ping that is colored red to warn your squad mates only. Note that this is colored differently than the green ping, which is what you will get normally if you try and ping something to your squad mates and there is nothing there. So if you think you've seen someone and want to check, you can see if that ping comes up red. It's not 100% accurate all the time, but it's a good way to communicate with your squad, especially if you're playing alone. A tip for reviving: you can only move backwards when you are drag reviving someone, so take that into consideration when you are dragging friendlies. And dragging friendlies does increase the amount of time that it does take to revive them as well. So if you stay still, you should revive faster, but again, this is situational. And if you come across an enemy that you're going to want to drag, make sure that you are on the correct side of the body so you can actually move in the direction in which the danger is not. Also, if you are a support and find someone stuck in terrain that for whatever reason your defibs don't agree with, you can drag them out first by starting a revive and then quickly cancel it to use the defibs. It is faster that way. When you are trying to replenish gadgets or grenades, stand directly on top of the bag if at all possible. The speed in which you are replenished is directly related to how close you are to the support bag. So, if you can help it, sit your ass on that bag and don't move. We'll talk more about the gunsmith in a future episode, but for now you should prioritize 3 weapon attachments when it comes to making your weapons feel better than their base kit. You should prioritize the laser, weapon brakes and compensators, and the barrels. Right now, the foregrips are all geared towards removing recoil at the price of ADS movement and ADS speed. The muzzle and barrel attachments are generally speaking pretty good and will do you nicely until you unlock some of the stronger attachments. Hipfire is something that I personally consider to be very strong in Battlefield 6, and it is something that you should run on every weapon loadout as long as it's not a sniper or something. Every weapon attachment affects the weight of the gun and how it feels with spread, so do not get locked into having the strongest attachments on weapons if it makes the weapon feel bad to handle. With how fast the time to kill is in Battlefield 6, and generally speaking, how slow the game is to play at times, this is how you find the best blend of attachments. I would highly recommend for you to only stick to red dot sights or holographic sights for now, and it's because there is no ADS FOV setting in Battlefield 6 currently, so any sight magnification that you use above, I'd say a 1.5, is going to jerk your screen inward when you aim, and it can be disorienting and impair your view of what you are shooting at. Generally speaking, the maps in Battlefield 6 are much smaller and close quarters anyways, so there is no point in using a high-powered optic, especially because the headshot multipliers in Battlefield 6 are really freaking weird, so there is no incentive to use a high-powered optic to prioritize headshots unless you are specifically using that ammo type that increases headshot damage. Unless you're behind an enemy, do not, and I mean do not, under any circumstances, try to knife them. Typically, Battlefield games used to be a 2-knife kill, but it's 3 hits in Battlefield 6. I know, dog tags are alluring, but save yourself the time and likely a potential death and just shoot the guy. Additionally, you should avoid jumping in gunfights if you can help it while aiming down sights, and this is a tip directed at those of you who typically play Call of Duty or another FPS game, and I don't mean this to be derogatory whatsoever. I'm glad you're playing Battlefield, but knowing that in other FPS games, jumping during gunfights is the best way to break aim assist, or is one of the few ways to outplay opponents in gunfights. But if you're going to be playing this game, this is a habit that you are going to want to try and break. Recoil in Battlefield 6 is tied to your reticle and not your screen center, and jumping will not only massively increase your spread, but it will also worsen your recoil. Sure, you might jump into some headshots and get a kill that you probably shouldn't every now and again, but it's better if you do not jump during a gunfight. Now, what is effective is jumping around corners and hip firing. Definitely do this when you hear an enemy running at you. This is also why I say you should prioritize running a laser of some kind on your weapon loadouts. If you are going to do movement of any kind, you should definitely try and stick to the slide and break the enemy's camera, or jump around corners with a hip-fired laser. If you're running the assault class and for whatever reason want to use multiple gadgets instead of using the still broken shotgun, you can equip multiple gadgets, and what this will do is also return more ammo to your main weapon. So if you like playing the assault class and you like the assault gadgets but hate running out of ammo because you're using the weapon sling, and you hate having to play around the shotgun when you do run out of ammo, or run to whatever support player you can find and practically beg for ammo, this is something that you can do to be able to play that class without that restriction. Which, kind of speaking of ammo, this was not in the beta, but I do believe that it's in the game now. You can run up to support players and get health and ammo off of them. The game just doesn't do a very good job of letting you know that this is something you can do. If you find yourself doing some sniping, one of the oldest yet criminally underused Battlefield tricks is binding the hold breath key to the same key that your ADS is, which should be your right click or your left trigger or whatever that may be. That way you are already as steady as you can be when ADSing with a sniper rifle. Combining that with some good crosshair placement, and you'll be able to fire off some really quick and accurate shots. In the settings menu, you need to do two things. First of all, turn up the minimap on foot distance and make the minimap bigger on your HUD. Secondly, turn off the additional squad information setting to minimize that information on your screen and declutter your HUD. This does two things. It maximizes what you can see on the minimap while not overcrowding your HUD with bad information. Frankly, you don't need to know what your squad mates are or how much health they have. You just need to know what class they are playing, which is shown by the symbol next to their names anyway. Additionally, what I would highly recommend you do is change the color of your crosshair to a color other than white, and preferably a bright green or pink. Crosshair placement and centering is extremely important in Battlefield, and it's even more important in this Battlefield given the pace that this game plays at. And when your crosshair is just white, it can get washed out, especially when peeking out of windows and getting flashbanged by the sun. You can also customize the color of your hit markers, but this is nowhere near as important to me, in my opinion, as just doing your crosshair placement, but this is very much so a bit of personal preference. And the final tip for today, if you are on PC, something that I suggest that you do that is really a non-negotiable if you've made it this far in the video, is using a user config file. Freethy is a great member of the community and is a literal genius when it comes to PC optimization. In the description is a link to a YouTube video that will tell you how to download the Battlefield 6 config file. It should give you a nice FPS boost and get rid of some of that annoying input lag and some of the annoying settings that DICE have set up that can't be changed in the game, such as not being able to totally remove motion blur. Oh, and if you do the config and get really annoyed with the big FPS counter in the top right hand corner, just set this value to 1 instead of 3 and it will be much smaller. Here is a fair warning. The pregame menu and the firing range will look darker and washed out. That is perfectly normal. But if you're one of those types of people that want to play with max graphics and get really immersed in the experience, that's fine. But genuinely, In my opinion, there is no excuse not to use this config to boost your PC performance. Freethee is not paying me to say that. I have never even personally spoken to Freethee, but there genuinely is no excuse. If you're on PC and you want to get yourself, I'd say anywhere between 20 to 40, maybe even 50 extra frames, and I don't want to overpromise, but generally it depends on what kind of parts in your PC anyway. It's incredibly easy to set up, and I will let him tell you how to do it. That marks the end of this episode. If you learned something new or just enjoyed the video, make sure you like and subscribe for more Battlefield 6 content, and leave a comment down below on what video you want to see me make next. I've got some guides planned for each class, but also for the first time on my channel, we're going to do full map breakdowns to help you understand how to play each map in Battlefield 6. Thank you all for watching. My name is Catalyst, and I will see you all another time.